So I said we're going to discuss race, language, sexual orientation, religion, and gender issues. And then you're going to move into some cooperative learning groups where you really have the opportunity to go in depth with those topics. We're also going to watch a video about some of the things that happens in classroom with a particular group of people so that you can see how that is challenging and you might have to actually deal with that situation, and that gives you an opportunity to reflect, to see how you can utilize strategies and techniques learned from this seminar. Because again, one of the things that I talk to my students about is that a lot of times we only throw theory at you, but you don't get a lot of practice. So when we want to make it today, we want to make it practical. So when you get to go into your 4 rotations, because there will be 4 rotations, they're going to present to you as a collegiate student, and then they're going to have you transform into either, I think, a 1st grader, a 3rd grader, or a 4th grader, so that you can actually see how to implement these strategies and techniques so that you can take something back with you. Because it's always easy for somebody to stand in front of you and just present you with theory, but if you're not able to apply that theory into practice, then it means absolutely nothing. Culturally responsive teaching. Culturally responsive teaching is using the cultural knowledge, power, exercises, and performance styles of diverse students to make learning more appropriate and effective. So again, the teacher is not just coming from their cultural reference. They're taking into account everybody that's in their classroom. And you might say, whoa, that's kind of challenging, because what if you were in an English language school where you have people from, oh my God, tons of countries. As a matter of fact, I shared this experience with my class. When I did my student teaching, I was in a school like that. And what's funny, and it's not so funny, is that I had Koreans, Asians, Hispanics, Latinos from Costa Rica, Dominican Republic. I could go on and on. So I had a classroom full of students. Some looked like me, but we didn't speak the same language. And the principal found out that I had 5 years of French experience, so she threw me in this classroom because we had a student, fresh, just came from Haiti. And so she was like, Shanta, I need you to work with this student. Now I'm a student teacher, not a teacher. And I'm like, what? What do you mean you need me to work with the student? Well, nobody in schools knows how to speak French, and we know you know how to speak French. Well, I'm not fluent in French, but I was the only person that knew how to speak French. So I had to establish some type of rapport and relationship with this student and work with him, because other than that, he was just coming to school, sitting in the chair, looking at people, like looking at Charlie like, what are you saying? What are you doing? So I want you to just sit back and imagine if you come into an environment, not only do you not speak the language, but a lot of people don't look like you. How would that make you feel? In the majority culture, you might not experience that as much as quote-unquote minorities. And I don't really like the word minority. And we just say minority because it's not as many of us here as it is of the dominant culture. But that's the words we choose to use. But I don't like that word, because I think we're a dominant culture too. Because I feel good about my culture. And you should feel good about your culture. But the problems that we run into is that sometimes we feel so good about our culture, guess what? We forget about the other people. And we try to make them fully assimilate into our culture, and we want them to forget about their culture. And as educators, what we have to remember is that we're working with students. We're not working with adults. The professors here, we have a privilege because we get to work with adults, but you're going out to work with little people. They might not be so little, but they're still little people because you're the adult. So they don't have the same knowledge base that you have coming into the classroom. So sometimes we make our students feel uncomfortable and we don't even know it. So one of the things that you're going to have to take into account is the biases that you bring to the classroom. And that's why I said sometimes throughout this session you may become a little uneasy, because all of us have biases. For example, I use this example with my students. I'm an African American. However, because of the subliminal images and messages that we are bombarded with on a daily basis, and this is a black man, another African American gentleman, stand in the room, raise your hand so that people can see you, even though you're the only black man in the room. If I had my purse and I walked past him, and I need you to come down here so they can see, because you're a kind of muscular black man, so you know you might intimidate people a little more.
I was doing
I know
it.
you're working,
Oh, okay.
but you know, have to put people